Hi everybody. So in this video, I'm going to tell about the NAT part, introduction of NAT, and in my next lecture, I will show some example also. So I'm going to upload the NAT series one by one. So this is this session is just for the introduction of NAT. So NAT is basically network address translation. So see, the NAT concept is same for every vendor. The view of configurations may be different. For example, Checkpoint and Palo Alto, or maybe Cisco. But the concept is almost same. Okay. So NAT is network address translations, and the actual use of NAT is like in short I can tell like reusability of IP. So अगर NAT नहीं होता तो हमारे पास ऑलरेडी आईपी शॉर्ट हो चुके हैं आईपी वर्जन को. सो हम NAT के भरोसे ही चल रहे हैं. So NAT is basically used to reusability of your IP address, and it is going to convert private to public, public to private. So private IP is not routable on the internet. So for example, there are 100 people in your company want to access anything on the internet, so that is only possible through NAT. Okay. So this is the meaning and basic definition I can tell about NAT. NAT is, NAT is the mechanism of translating IP address of the network packets. NAT often used to translate private IP address to the public IP address. Okay. So I'm not going to read all the theory parts. I will share this so you can go through and uh, make a note for it. But in short, just understand like NAT is used for our reusability of IP, and of course private IP is not routable on the internet. So for such types of issue, uh, NAT is the solution. So in short, if 10 people, 20 people want to go on the internet, so it's only possible through NAT. So for example, we have source NAT. So what is source NAT? Source NAT is basically when source is getting translated. Okay. For example, there are 1, 2, 3 PC in your company. For example, this is internal side. If all three people want to go on the internet, we need to translate it to the any public IP or maybe egress interface of the firewall with egress interface of the firewall. So that is called source NAT, where your source is getting translated. Okay. What is destination NAT? So destination is basically we use when someone from the internet is trying to access our DMZ server or services. At the times we use destination NAT. So for example, when someone from basically we can say like destination NAT is one-to-one mapping, and it is bidirectional. This will convert to this, and this will convert to this. Okay. So let's see some definition also. So destination NAT, which is stand for destination network address translation. Destination NAT change the destination address IP header of a packet. Destination NAT may also change the destination port in the TCP/UDP headers. Destination NAT is a one-to-one static translation with option to perform port forwarding or translations. Especially, users over internet accessing a web server hosted in data center. So in this scenario, we generally use destination NAT. So, let's understand. For example, this is the internet user, and this is our firewall, and this is our DMZ server. DMZ server. So if from the internet, if you want to access this server, for that we need to use here DNAT, destination NAT. Okay. So what is the original source look like? So original source, this user IP, original destination, it is going to hit our egress interface public IP, right? So original source will be this, original destination, this, and once this packet is matched, please get this translate to the DMZ server IP. For example, 10.10.10.10. So for this purpose, we use destination NAT, and it is one-to-one mapping. We can select bi-directional. Okay, so I hope you guys understand the actual meaning of destination NAT and source NAT. In checkpoint, there is some NAT priority. Okay, let's see here also. So if you're adding anything manually, it is going to on the top. And then a static NAT, machine static NAT. For example, you are adding any hide NAT, it will going to automatically add in this section. If you're creating any address range and then putting a static NAT, so it's going to add in this section. If you're creating network and then adding a static NAT, so it's going to create under this section. If you're creating any address range and then putting hide NAT, it will going to keep in this section. So what that meaning? So I will what does actual look like. So we'll see that we will see through example also in next video. For example, let's show one example. Let's see this one. This one, network hide NAT. So for example, I have created one object. For example, let's create one network. I'm just creating one network. Network 10.10.10.10. I'm just putting network 10.10.10.10.0. Subnet mask I'm using 255.255.255.0. And I'm using here NAT and I'm using hide NAT. Okay. See, so once once we added, see, it is showing under this section, network hide NAT, right? So this is the NAT priority. If you're doing anything manually, like manual NAT, it will go on the top. If you're doing any hide NAT, it will come under this section. Address range static NAT means if you are creating address and then doing NAT, static NAT, it will come under this section. Okay. If you are creating network and then doing a static NAT, it will come under this section. If you are creating network and doing hide NAT, it will come under this section. Hide NAT is basically, we can say, like port address translations. So hide NAT is basically whatever the internal side network it is going to translate with your firewall egress interface IP address. Okay. So for example, let's see here. So for example, just understand here. So hide NAT, this one, network hide NAT. So we have created one network 10.10.10.10, then 0. And inside the network, there is one option called NAT. And here we have selected hide, right? So this is called network hide NAT. What is a static NAT? A static NAT, we need to create like original source one object one time, original destination one time, then translated source object, or we can say like host one time, and then we need to add the rule. So it will consider under this section. So hide NAT is just we are creating object, we are creating network, and inside network, inside object itself, we are configuring NAT. So that is called hide NAT, and it is going to translate over our firewall egress interface IP address. So hide NAT is basically dynamic IP import. So it is going to change IP as well as port. Okay. So in checkpoint, how this is how in checkpoint the NAT priority work. Okay. See, if you add any NAT, or for example, let's add one network and a static NAT. Okay. So for example, I'm just creating one here, one network we have already created. So just add a rule on top. and I'm just keeping original source. This one. No, original source will take network, whatever we created. Let's try. I have created network. Original destination I am putting internet, and original services I am keeping any. Translated services I am putting this one. Just for example, this is the egress interface IP address, and rest I am keeping as it is. Okay. And let's do install the policy. So it's failing. What is saying? The range size of original and translated columns must be the same. Okay. So we need to keep the same network also. Or I'm just removing this IP. Okay, let's install the policy. Just create network. Okay, so the reason why it is not showing here, because we whatever net we have, we added here, it is the manual net. It will comes under manual net. If you want to do like this network static net, then whatever object we have created, go on that object, network object. Just 1 minute. Or we can come here, object, object explorer. Okay, so we have created this network. Go there, come here, and if you use hide net, if you click OK, and then just install the policy. Yes, so actually, what was the issue? So if we're adding any this net, for example, let me show again. Network static NAT. Okay, so we need to come again your object, just object explorer, and then this is our network we have created. And inside NAT, we need to use here static. And if you use the IP, for example, I'm going to translate that with IP 192.168.1.100, for example. Click OK. See, so now it is reflecting here network static NAT. Okay. So for example, you are creating any network, and inside that network, if you go in the NAT section and if you are adding any static NAT, not hide NAT, it will come under this section. If you are adding hide, it will come under this section. So this is how order work, priority work in the checkpoint NAT. Okay, if you are adding anything manually, for example, original source object we created manually, original destination object or host we created manually, or network we created manually, translated source we created manually, translated destination we created manually. So for these types of NAT will come on the top always. Okay. So this is the priority. So you just need to try to play with NAT. Try to add and then test it. So for example, manual NAT is always on the top. For example, this is the manual NAT. So here we need to create original destinations manually. This is the host. So we need to create host manually. Then translated destination, we need to create this host manually. So if you are created manually and then start adding NAT, it will come under manual NAT and it will come on the top. Okay. So this is about the NAT in checkpoint, and we can say introduction. So try to play and do some practice, and I will in next session I'm going to explain about hide NAT and like manual NAT, and we'll see example one by one. Thank you very much. Please like this video, share, subscribe it as much as possible.